meeting to order, November the 10th. I have about 7:01 p.m. start time. I want to call the meeting to order and the Pledge of Allegiance, and then guest and audience comments. We have one opportunity in the agenda. This is a regularly scheduled meeting, so we can add another guest and audience comments at the end of the meeting if we like. Third item on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes for October the 8th, and the chairman's report, which includes the board subcommittee reports, and a new item, budget guidance discussion. And then we have the first selectman's report. We have the finance director's report, but she's not here tonight. She's out sick. So we may postpone that to the next meeting. We can go with paperwork that she's given us, whatever your pleasure is at that time. Then we have some old business maybe, and new business, and then adjournment. Anything else you want to add to the agenda? Okay, so I can now ask for Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is guest and audience comments. So we have a number of 3-4 guests tonight. Well, 2 guests are going to be members pretty soon. They were sworn in this afternoon. Any comments? Any guest and audience comments? Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to congratulate the new members of the board and wish you well, Todd, on your new assignment. And I hope, even though I lost the seat on the Board of Finance, I still have a keen interest in following what's going on with the Board of Finance. And one of the things that I heard out campaigning was affordability. So I hope that you consider that going forward.
Thank you.
That's all my comment.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd just like to thank
Say
Bill,
your name, please.
sorry, Deb Danette. I'd just like to thank Bill Barney for his service to the board. And
Thank you.
Irene, as she's outgoing as well.
Okay, any other comments? All right, thank you very much, folks. And next item is approval of the meeting minutes for October the 8th. May I hear a motion to approve those meeting minutes as written?
So moved.
Bill moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Maureen seconds. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting minutes.
I'm going to abstain. I was not here.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. All right. I'll say again, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion, the meeting minutes are approved. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the chairman's report. And the first section of the chairman's report is the board subcommittee reports. First is the communication subcommittee. We have nothing new to report tonight. And just before we leave that item though, both Bill and I are obviously leaving the communication subcommittee. Right now we have 2 vacancies for the communication subcommittee. So that's one thing that needs to be filled at your next meeting. And also, if you wish, and also we have the fact that we're going to talk about a budget guidance discussion, which is a new initiative for this Board of Finance and for this town, which I think is a great idea. And it'd be really nice if the communication subcommittee could write an explanation in the East Haddam News to explain our new process and why we're going there, what's the net benefit of it, et cetera. I think that'd be a real key thing to do. And I will volunteer to help write that as a member in my spare time, if I have any. And because I think it's really important. I think what we're doing is great. And we should whole rest of the town should know about it and clearly understand it. So we need to do that as a town board. And that's anything else, Bill, for the communications? Okay, there being no other discussion or report from communications, that concludes my report for this evening. Unless there's any questions or comments? There being none, then we'll go on next to the Long Range Capital Improvements Committee.
At our December meeting, well, first of all, let me back up a step. A couple of meetings ago, I sort of circulated here's a suggestion. And at our next meeting, Val and I will have a draft policy to implement that idea, and sort of a demonstration of how it would work, what the requester would do, what the Board of Selectmen, Board of Education would do, what materials we as a Board of Finance would get when we get to deciding on a capital plan, capital budget, and see if it meets it can be tinkered with, improved, changed, abandoned. But I hope by next meeting we'll have
Thank you, Harvey. Any questions for Harvey? Okay. Next item is under board subcommittee reports is review. Oh, that's no, wait a minute. That's financial policies. Anything else? Anything else on financial policies?
No.
All right, next section, B section of the chairman's report is budget guidance discussion. Harvey, you drafted a short and sweet first one pager along with the plot. Would you like to explain that to us?
Okay. Recapping where I think we ended up at our last meeting, we have this snazzy graph. Looks like it has a witch's hat in it. And based on that and the general thought that in order to keep the town fiscally sound, one of the things that we ought to attempt to do is to keep our actual expenses, rate of growth on our actual expenses less than the rate of growth in the grand list. And so, again, if I recall correctly, what we thought we would do this evening was look at, and in conjunction with that, give the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Education some guidance as to what our objective, aspiration, target for budgeting for the next fiscal year is. And so we got the little graph with the witch's hat, and then we have this guy that says, it starts off, if we had no budget increase whatsoever, what would happen? What would the mill rate be? And so on. It goes by, if you want to look at increasing expense, the budget, or decreasing the budget. I guess the better way maybe would be to look at increasing it, because that's so. It assumes that the mill rate, it assumes the mill rate that's here under projected 2025 grand list, right? It gives you a projected grand list that you have to multiply by 1,000 to get the actual grand list. And it does not, well, let me say this differently. There appears to be no reason to think, since most of the numbers are there, that the final grand list is gonna be any different than what's illustrated here. I didn't say that very well. Okay, and then,
Where did that projected 25 grand list number come from?
from what the assessor has now,
Yeah, okay,
without, I mean, she's got some fine tuning to do.
right, but that's where we stand right now.
And for our purposes this evening, I don't think the fine tuning is gonna change what we would be thinking to do. And if we look, right, the current tax budget, if we held it absolutely without any change, we'd be able to knock a tiny bit off the mill rate. And if we increased it, so I guess the best one is the one with the big yellow bar.
Yeah,
So if we increase it, right, it shows you kind of what in increments what would happen to the budget. So to the mill rate. So let's, you know, for lack of a better thing, let's start off with the bidding. We could say, increasing the budget a nickel.
so I just wanna make sure I'm seeing, so the yellow line is if we keep the budget exactly flat.
Yep.
So exactly flat projects a 1.08 increase in the mill rate.
Yep.
Okay, so we're already starting out with a 1 mil increase if we keep it flat year over year.
I guess I'm a little confused myself. We have no change in the grand list. The grand list is what we projected for 2025.
Yeah.
Okay. We're working on a projected grand list, which is that different from 2024? It is. Even though we're assuming no increase in expenses, but because the grand list is what we're projecting, we're getting, I want to see the word automatically, it's an automatic 4%, 4.03% increase in taxation because the grand list is changing. Is that what it's saying, telling us?
That's what it seems to be saying.
And that shows how important the grand list is. So the question I have, so that means the grand list went down from last year? We don't have that number here. We don't have Valerie either. But the message is that we have to track both things. We have to, of course, track the grand list, because that's the driver here, is how much taxation is available if we choose to use it. And even though we have, going into this year now, the way it looks, as you put it, Harvey, it's going to be fine-tuned, but there's not much of a difference. Going into the year now, right now, we're looking at a 4% increase in taxation, even though we're not increasing our expenses. Yeah. Yikes. So now we want to go to the tri-board meeting in January. Just suggesting, not saying, is that even with zero increase in expenses, we're looking at a 4% tax increase for the new fiscal year, which is probably not going to be, probably not be acceptable. So. What I'm not familiar with is what happened with the grand list. It appears it went down from last year. If these numbers are right. So if we wanted to hold our mill rating, assuming the grand list is what it is for the coming year, if we cut our expenses by 10%, we're still looking at a 2.78% increase in taxation. I guess I like this table for mathematical reasons, that it gives us some idea what we need to do. I'm just questioning, are those, is the grand list number correct? And if it is, we got a real challenge ahead of us for the coming year.
I can't speak to how accurate the grand
I
list.
have my last year's paper. It says the grand list last year was 1,190,000, so it looks like it went up.
Fractionally.
And-
We found 8.5 million.
So,
Between last year and this year?
Last year it went down.
And last year we're down, that's correct.
So the question is, what is it gonna do
okay, so from
this year?
last year, it went up.
A little tiny bit.
Yeah,
Well,
so
this is in billion. Then it went up 10 million. In the grand scheme of things, that's a little number. It seems like a big number, but when you're talking 1 billion. So,
okay. I guess the bottom line, we need to check our numbers. But it's showing us how important it is. So a little bump in the grand list, it's a hurt in terms of taxation if it goes the wrong way. We need to check our numbers though. So right, so it's 1.19 last year. This year they're projecting 1.2. So it went up just a little bit. That's why I don't understand
I feel like we needed to,
something's missing.
the current tax budget column, shouldn't that be what the budget is this year? Isn't that supposed to be this year's budget?
Which column?
Current tax budget.
Looking at current tax budget, looking at,
It's the same number all the way down. I think normally when we use this to look at our budget, that column is the current year's budget. And then the first column is our projected, what we're projecting for the next year's budget.
that's right.
So the current tax budget column has not been updated, which is gonna throw off all the increase and change numbers because we're not, it should be a zero change. Or a slight decrease in the mill rate if our grand list is going up slightly. And like that yellow line, if that yellow line is everything being equal, our grand list going up slightly, doesn't make sense that the mill rate would also go up. The mill rate should go down slightly. So I think
Correct.
to Todd's point, we need
Yeah, when Val called me this morning to say she was ill,
Yeah,
I asked her if she could put this together. So.
Yeah.
It may be that it ain't 100%.
yeah. That's right.
Given that, we can set aside the discussion a little bit.
Go ahead, Bill.
But again, if you're showing a possible increase in the
Yeah.
grand list. Yeah, which if that was accurate, should actually produce at a zero budget, a slight decrease in
Yeah.
taxes.
Yes,
Number
That's the
two, we know, because the state changed the way car taxes decided, our taxes now are based upon value. And so they're gonna go down in all probability. So the amount of money we realize from motor vehicle taxes is gonna decrease year to year. So, we've gotta take that into account. You folks are gonna deal with it, not me. And for that, and he doesn't get off the hook, see, that's the problem. He's gonna be on the receiving end.
that's right. That's right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Without having all of that information, and I'm looking at what you wrote here, Harvey. All right. Unless we want to say to people, we want a zero increase in spending. We start with that principle. We know, and I've spent time doing research on this, that next year, whether you go to the different Fed banks or universities like MIT's economics department, because I have looked, they're all projecting inflation in 26, forget about the part of 27, at somewhere between 2.5 and 3%. Social Security has given a 2.8% cost of living increase. I do not know what contracts have been negotiated or what increases have been negotiated. My sense was that if we were going to be talking any kind of increase, it would have to be under 3%. Saying to the Board of Selectmen, saying to the Board of Education, put your budget at no more than, and I'll use 3%, 2.5, it doesn't really matter the number. That's it. You come in with something more than that, you know right away it's going to be reduced. I think that's what I think the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Education need to hear. Here are the numbers. This is based upon what we see as the growth in the grand list, which is our income base, which is infinitesimal. And we know that. We've known that for a few years. And so the only way you can do that, unless you want to start at zero, genuine zero budgeting, to say no increase to anybody. And you figure out how to do it. So you say, it's $44,258,614. And for 2026-27, it's $44,258,614. Don't create anything else. I mean, I think that's the guidance we need to provide in there, quite honestly. And we've heard it, I know we've all heard it. We heard it in our comments from people when we did at referendum. The comments were always the same, which is do something about taxes. And I think that's the only way to do it. But you've got to, and you can't do it tonight. This is something that the next Board of Finance will deal with, but you need to deal with it. I think it needs to be done quickly. I've done budgets. Irene's done budgets. She knows what it's like. It takes time. You can't wait until January or February to give this kind of guidance. It's already too far down the road. I am willing to bet right now, if I know school systems, and I got a little knowledge of that the superintendent has probably already told her principals, start thinking about budget. And I don't think if she's saying zero increase. I think that's why we need to get it to her, to the Board of Ed, and to the Board of Selectmen as quickly as you can. Really do. But to me, quite honestly, looking at what all the numbers are, nothing over, say, 2.75 or under. Only way you can do it. And that's, is it doable? I think it's also, and I will say this because I've had conversations, I think we also need to get more information from people about how our money, because it's our money as well as every other citizen's money, is being spent. How well it is being spent. What are the outcomes? Are we getting what we want from those dollars? Heard some things, not just heard about the schools, heard about the town side. You need to ask for that, and it needs to be very specific as to what it is we want to know. How is our money being spent, and is it being spent well? That's I think, the bottom line. And I provided Mr. Thomas with some topics that I think would prove interesting. I'm sitting here, and I just go around. I just count first selectmen, but I'll ask the rest of you. So the recently negotiated contracts, what were the raises in them? We're the Board of Finance. Do we have a copy of those contracts? Have we seen those contracts?
I haven't,
Posted online.
Have we given a copy? Wouldn't it be logical to say, we ought to send a copy of this to the Board of Finance so that they can see what we're doing? I mean, no offense meant. Why should we have to do that work? That's their job. I'm serious. Why didn't we get a copy? This idea that you can look up everything online, I have a real problem with by itself. Because it puts the responsibility in the wrong hands. Our job is not to negotiate. Our job is to oversee. Your job is to oversee.
Yours is for about.
For another week, till next Sunday at midnight. And then I'm going to the corned beef hash pot. That's fine. You've got to deal with it. And so is Todd, for that matter, in that regard, with the money. You are. We've got two people out there who have to deal with it. And what I'm saying is, we need to give them a number, and we need to give it quickly. And if I were to do this, I could put in, the growth of but I would think the growth in the grand list is probably less than 1%.
It is less.
Less than 1%. And we can't assume that the state is going to give us anything more, because everything coming from the state is less. Okay? And that, I believe, setting an increase level. And I think if this board wants to say 0, then say 0. And let the powers that be and the rest of the government figure out how to do it. Let me say this again. It can be done. It has been done elsewhere. It is not impossible. Does it mean retrenchment in some areas? Quite possibly. Does it mean rethinking some things that are done? Probably. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? At the hearing, I believe, last Wednesday night on the traffic cameras, I think one of the calls was that we should add more policemen to handle traffic issues. That's what? $100,000 a copy for an officer? We're lucky?
Salary, benefits, car.
Yeah, at least. How many police do we want to deal with traffic? I mean, think about it. It's at least $100,000 per officer just to do that. I think things can be rethought. I think the suggestion, the cameras is an interesting way to attack a problem at a minimum cost. In fact, it's revenue producing. But I think that's what you guys, that's what you have to deal with. And if you wanted to say to me, would I make a recommendation? Why not? I'm on the way out. Are they going to get mad at me? My answer would be 0 increase. Let that be the headline. Board of Finance recommend to the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Education a 0 increase in the 2026-27 budget. I bet we'll have more than 4 people in the audience after that, or you will. But that's the kind of thing I think a larger portion of our citizens want to hear than don't, in all honesty. In all honesty. That's what they want to hear. You think that's too draconic? Fine. 0.5%. I wouldn't nickel dime it. I wouldn't nickel and dime it. I would, if I were sitting, I would make a recommendation to that effect. And then that's their guidance. Figure out how to do it. They do know how. Enough said.
Thank you, Bill. Anybody else want to make a comment, question?
First, yes, this ain't right. Or it doesn't appear to be right.
Sure.
And when I spoke to Val at like 8:15 this morning, she sounded like death warmed over, so.
Yeah.
I think she maybe wasn't paying in her sick bed and enough attention to get it exactly right.
That's probably true, Harvey.
So, and the first I saw of it was this evening, so. So how, my only thought is, let's follow up on what Bill is saying. If the grand list is growing at less than 1%, then it would be reasonable to think that we don't want our expenses growing at any more than 1%.
That's right. I think you said that somewhere here. You said at the
Yeah,
end
I
of the
thought
meeting.
that's what we decided last time. We were gonna try to tie the increase in the budget to the increase in the grand list.
So then is our, I mean, I have no problem saying that the increase in the budget would be no more than 1%.
In keeping with the guidance from the grand list growth.
Yeah, I mean,
Always tie it back to the grand list. That's our source of income. Okay,
otherwise we're never going to bend the curve.
that's right.
If I can throw in a reminder. We've used the reserve fund as a bank account. We did, what, $2.5 million last time? That's, about 2 mils increase we avoided by doing it. We should set in our own minds. And I forgot the range, at what's the minimum
Yeah.
number?
8 to 13.
8 and 13, then split the difference and say 10.5 is the sweet spot. If, big if, large I, large F. I like it big because my eyes aren't good. If the reserve fund is exceeded $10 million, $10.5 million, then and only then would we take money from it to use against tax increase. In other words, find that midpoint, never go below the sweet spot. I'm not advocating it, but I mean, I think in our own mind, we need to say, as a board, that fund has got to stay solvent. As you pointed out, I think at the last meeting, you said, what's the money there for? I said, if something catastrophic happened and we needed to pull $10, $12 million immediately, that's what that fund is for. And we need to keep that in mind. Don't let any idea of using that, unless it's over a certain level, to keep that solvent. Not for the accountant, for the town.
I also think we shouldn't use that for more than we are putting in the budget for capital. Because capital is a one-time thing and we can take it away next year. But when we're putting it in above and beyond the amount we're giving to capital, it's now going towards our operating expenses. So I think we need to take a look at that in relation to the capital amount we're putting into capital.
Thank you, Maureen and Bill. I also think that we shouldn't even think about the unassigned fund balance. We should work on a budget with zero increase, do whatever we can to meet zero. If we run to a real hard spot for whatever reason, then we may think about reaching into our parachute or our lifeboat, but not until the very end, and not only when we have to. I want to say something else too. There's a lot of discussion about what did the contracts come out for the Board of Education. They did just negotiate a contract with their teachers just a few months ago. Well, they have, I just want to emphasize, they have a certain amount of increase in contractual obligations. And that's going to cost X amount of money. Okay, but in reality, the Board of Education has a total education budget. If those contracts are a big chunk of that, and more they had in the past, and it affects the total budget, they got to work to the budget. So that means you got to cut somewhere else. to pay for the increase in labor. And that's how it's supposed to work. If you have a company, you work to a total budget, because if you go beyond that, you're risking the financials of the company. So, okay, so they had to bite a bullet with the contractual obligations and increases. That means if they don't want to exceed their education budget, it means you got to cut something else to make up for it. You got to think real hard about that. Does that sound appropriate?
I mean, they received from the town $25,451,000. Last year, that was approved. If they can approve a 3% increase for all their, that's fine. As long as you keep it within $25,451,627. How do you do it? That's what they're getting the big bucks for. That's why they have the shares with the arms.
Oh, okay. And okay, so we all agree with that. I knew we would. It's going to be a little tougher for the Board of Education, but that's what we have to do, because I too have heard from the people, the folks in town, that they can't afford any more taxes now. They're already stretched, and so we got to do our part to keep them from stretching, and still get the job done as far as supporting the services in the town, which includes education. Okay, now, to Bill's point, when do you want to tell them this? Unfortunately, we're in transition right now. And I agree with Bill, the sooner is better than later.
I just told them, it's a public meeting.
The public meeting, that's right. But I should like to tell them
Yeah,
directly.
I'd feel more comfortable if I felt more comfortable about these numbers.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but regardless of the numbers, our approach will be, whatever the grand list comes out to be an increase, which we think is probably going to be small.
If
And-
this, yeah, if that number's
Yes,
right,
the rest is arithmetic.
it looks like 0.8%, 0.7 and change.
That's right. It'd be very small.
Let me just real quick. Mike, is that about right?
Just, okay,
He does the numbers.
Yeah,
all right,
well,
Thank you.
let me tell you how I came in.
well,
I said it.
Hold it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I apologize.
Sorry,
My
Mike.
mistake.
We have
But he
to.
does know the numbers.
Okay. Well, if he knows the numbers, Valerie can tell us the numbers, right? So wait for Valerie to get well. Hopefully that won't be too long. So thank you, Mike, but Valerie needs to tell us the numbers. But whatever the numbers come out to be, that's going to be our approach. The rest is just arithmetic. It's our policy that's important.
Is everybody nodding or?
I agree.
I agree out loud. I think.
I agree too. I see no other way to do it. I see no other way to do it.
So let me see if I understand this, just so I don't get confused between now and the time I get home. That when we get a solid number verified that the 1.2 is approximately correct, absent the assessor's little tinkerings, that whatever that percent turns out to be is the percent that you want to say that the budget will increase by no more than that percent. Is that?
And that will yield a,
And well, I'm sorry, Ty, but
go ahead, no, keep going.
when Val's fever breaks, right, we'll make sure that this works and it gives you the mill rate and the percent increase, or the increase in the mill rate.
Okay,
Is that?
sounds right to me. But there's one more thing we gotta consider.
Yes.
We are an old board. This is our last meeting together. And the new board should be the grand communicator of our policy. We've given people a hint now with a public meeting. We know the direction we want to take. But there's a new board coming next month. And I think I think it's appropriate that we get these comments or agreement or disagreement from the new board, because we're talking about next year, and they'll be fully entrenched, including you guys, in the new year. So I think it's okay for us to have this discussion. I think it's very appropriate that we're having this discussion. But as far as an official pronouncement, it has to come, I believe, from the December board. You guys agree with that? Anything wrong with that?
Yes and no. So I agree, but I think we had talked about it at the last meeting, December's pushing it out. We had talked at the last meeting of potentially having a special meeting just to look at these numbers and decide on that. I don't know if that's something people are interested in. I just feel like if we wait till mid-December, Board of Ed is definitely on their way to their budget.
That's a good point. So I don't know what the rules are. Everything becomes effective on the 17th
Yeah.
of November, correct? So would it be appropriate to schedule a special meeting for the new board early on, just to meet your concern?
What do other people think about December decision versus sooner?
I believe, I didn't bring my book with me, but under parliamentary rules, this board could in fact establish a date for a special Board of Finance meeting to address this issue and set that date, because we still have the power to do that. But you could also include on that agenda, as long as you're doing it, because it has to be done.
Yeah.
A second item actually would be the first
Yeah.
item, which would be a selection of
Chair.
leadership for the board. So that would be item one, and that would mean that the new members would be involved in doing that, and then roll into the discussion on the guidance. And I think, it isn't that I think, but I'm surprised that if she's in the office, that she probably would come running and telling me I'm wrong. But I believe under parliamentary rules, we can do that. We have the ability to do it.
I'm shaking her head yes.
Okay. I know Deb knows it too, so I was waiting for Linda to come in, but look, we could do that. We could do that now. Pick a date. They know what it is. More importantly, the other boards would know what it is, and so would the town.
And by then, we would have made sure that all our numbers are square.
Mhm.
Good idea, Bill.
And I would think the sooner, you had it on here for December, Harvey, I think is what you had in parentheses.
What we discussed last meeting was to set the guidance tonight, invite the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Education
Right.
to our December meeting to hear how we got there.
So
Okay.
their next meeting is the 19th. We could meet before the 19th, and then we could just have the new chair attend their meeting and speak at their meeting and explain what's going on at their meeting, as opposed to inviting them to our meeting, because we're a little out of
What
it.
do we want?
Say it with 19th of what month? November. So we say new chair, so we meet on
After the 17th, we could set a date
For the 17th or
for
18th?
the 19th today,
Well,
for a special Board of Finance
the
meeting
18th.
on November 7 o'clock at this place. And the agenda would include one, selection of a new chair. 2, issuance of budgetary guidance for the 26-27 fiscal year. Okay,
So we would have to meet on the 17th or the 18th.
well, you could do that. Well, no, what I'm saying is the 19th would be a special meeting of the board.
But the Board of Ed meets on the 19th, so it would be.
Then
my
meet on
thought
the
was-
18th.
Right,
I don't,
right. Well, that's what
I don't care, because I won't be there.
Okay,
Well, I might.
I'm just telling you, we would want to pick the 17th or the 18th.
Okay, we hear no,
And I just speak to that. In the short term, at least, I was relying on some predictability that even the special group would continue to develop on Monday. So there's already a significant meeting on the 18th with the Wetlands Commission. I'd like to see if I'm gonna be there, that'd be the day we're sworn in, the 17th. So next Monday.
You,
our
you,
meetings aren't always
Right.
on Monday, we do special.
you could do it any day,
Room availability is Monday.
Okay,
then do it Monday.
17th.
Doesn't,
Yes.
Guess that's it then.
doesn't matter
I can't
what
do
day you
Zoom,
use, you get, it's the
so-
same time, same agenda. But
is
just,
there availability on?
and as long as we do it 24 hours in
Not at
advance.
7.
Not in this room, we could do it in another room.
Is 18th better? I can see what room's available on the 18th.
Don't go away yet, please.
We have conflicting
We have a conflicting
conflicts.
meeting on the 18th in the evening. Can we meet during the day on the 18th? Is that possible?
We've had meetings at like 5 o'clock, you know, earlier than the 7 o'clock, you know,
We can do that too.
or 6 o'clock.
We can do, so I'm hearing
Or the-
18th at 5 o'clock.
I'm not available on the 18th at all.
Who's out?
I mean, I can tell you my personal opinion. I was gonna hold off until the 18th, but, or whenever you guys are gonna do the special meeting, but whatever's gonna be the best for everybody here, I'm working. So, and I'm very limited to time off for the rest of the year.
So you can't do which day can't you do?
Does it daytime or
You
does it
can-
evening?
Whoever can't do the 18th, can they do it earlier on the 17th? Can you do it like at 5 o'clock?
I can do 5 o'clock on the 17th. Can you, Eric?
Yes, on the 17th, I'm available.
Oh,
I think it's
Is
Joe,
that there?
I think it's Joe who had a
Yeah, I'm
conflict.
completely out for the 17th.
And you're completely out for the 18th.
Yes, ma'am.
What about the 19th earlier?
Well, then you got another conflict. I mean, I think you're gonna get conflict everywhere.
19 earlier.
19th, I'm available.
19th at 5? Is that what you
I'm
think?
gonna go check. I'm just waiting for you guys all to say yes, check on that one.
Can you do the 19th?
Yes. Yeah, earlier, yeah.
Okay, so 5 o'clock on the 19th?
Okay, I'll go check.
I would
Once,
only,
going twice?
just make sure you use a large room. Because word gets out, I assume you'd get a decent audience. That night,
We can meet in the hallway.
we can.
Okay, we're looking at the 19th of November at 5 o'clock
There you go.
PM.
See what Irene says.
Okay, we'll wait for Irene's
I
word.
mean, save me a seat, Mike.
It's available.
Okay.
Big room.
So be it, thank you.
Yeah.
The big room being here, 1 and 2. Okay. You worked that out, and, all right. Anything else on this subject, budget guidance?
We can make sure this is up to snuff. But, we're in agreement that whatever the rate of increase in the grand list is the rate of increase in the budget, and then the mill rate will just fall out of that.
That's right.
So this letter can be filled in. Okay, just wanna make sure I'm not missing something.
That's right. It's, it becomes arithmetic. In our policy. Grand list is the grand list, that's the guide, and we benchmark to that. So, okay, enough said. Wow. Very good, folks. Very good. Thank you, Bill, thank you, everybody. Okay, next item, anything else we're gonna talk about? Guess not, we got it squared away.
I think
We have
we're
a plan, we have a date, we have a big date. Okay, Harvey, you gonna say something?
No, no.
All right, next is the first selectman's report.
Hello there. Just a few things, quick things. We are currently going for a grant for engineering on our Resilient Connecticut flooding mitigation project in the village. So we'll be doing that. We had a meeting actually today. Todd was able to join us to get caught up a little bit with our stakeholders. They're including Circa, Goodspeed, COGS. The next steps will be to include the redevelopment agency involved in the conversation in regards to what we can do as far as property down there, as far as the big issue down there is the rehearsal studio that gets flooded out, and whether or not Goodspeed is going to be able to find themselves a new rehearsal studio space or whatever. But in the meantime, there's still flooding and engineering that needs to be done down there, both underneath the rehearsal studio or that culvert, as well as going down onto Creamery Road. So there is a grant that's available that is 100% paid for by the state. And we're gonna go for that. We have to apply for that for, I believe it's January. Jim Ventris is going out for knee surgery in December, so he's trying to get that done right away. So, but anyway, so just so you know that might be coming down the pike. Next thing is we heard back from Deep in regards to the wake surfing ordinance that went through to them from the town of East Haddam, and they have approved the ordinance that we submitted for Moodus Reservoir due to the water depth of the reservoir. They did not approve or disapprove for Bashan because they feel that there's water depth there and a public launch, a deep public launch. However, there is a 60-day moratorium on them not approving or disapproving something. So because it's beyond the 60 days, so what's happening is right now they're actually going to do their own study on wake surfing, you know, more of on a grand scale for the whole town, for the whole state. So because they don't have their study information back, and we've submitted an ordinance to them for their approval, they have only 60 days in which they need to either deny or approve. If they don't deny or approve, it automatically gets approved. So Bashan's also is approved, so the ordinance is approved for both bodies of water in town. They do put together a ordinance book, a new ordinance book in February, so that they will either list our ordinance in that it is approved for both Bashan and Moodus in that book, unless we decide that we want to do something different, depending on their study results coming out, if they want to make any, or but if we want to make any changes due to their study. But at this point, both the bodies of water are approved, or our ordinance is approved, which means wake surfing is not allowed on our lakes and down. So that's the scoop on that. And then finally, or one more thing after this, the cell tower on East Haddam Colchester Turnpike was approved by the Siting Council. And the cell tower on Town Street at the fire department is moving forward. And that's because it's on town property. We do not have to go to Siting Council for that. So that's a matter of working with the cell company and putting in, you know, the construction, et cetera, et cetera. And then if there's a company that is interested in putting a transmitter on top, meaning, you know, T-Mobile or Verizon or whatever, they go to the Siting Council. Generally speaking, when they go to one where they're putting it up on an existing tower, it pretty much goes through. So because we're putting up a tower that we're going to put our communications system up on top of it, then it's pretty much a done deal for us to be able to do that. We still have to go through the process. We still have to go through the town, you know, meetings, et cetera, on it. But we're moving forward. So just so you know, we're hoping to get rid of the holes by Shy Park and the one a little bit between like Brook Hill, like right around Brook Hill, it knocks out as well. So there's some good news there as far as holes being filled in for the cell towers. Any questions about any of that?
How tall is the tower going to be at the?
I didn't bring the plans with me, but I don't know for sure. I can definitely share that with you this week.
But there'll be no, for the tower on Town Street at Company One, I guess that's Company One, there'll be no public opportunity for public input.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
There will be.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh, but, okay, but the Siting Council has approved it already in advance because the town, I'm a little confused, the town.
No, because it's town property, we do not have to go to the Siting Council to get that approved, but we still have to go to the town to approve it.
Ah, okay.
Because it's our property, we don't have to do it. But if it was private property,
Oh, gotcha.
as the one on East Haddam Colchester Turnpike, that had to go to Siting Council.
Right, thank you. Any expense to the town in all of this? What's the expense, you know?
No, there is no expense, other than, you know, what we're doing in the way of, you know, signing, you know, paperwork and processing and that kind of thing. But the
construction company builds the tower, and then the T-Mobile and that kind of thing are the ones that are going to be paying us for rent on that tower, similar to the way it happens at the transfer station currently now. There's probably gonna be an expense to put our communications on top. I'd have to check with Craig on that one, or you can.
I know somebody.
You know somebody. I'll give you Craig's number.
Thank you very much.
One more thing. I have a proclamation here to award you to Todd. This is from the town of East Haddam, a proclamation on the occasion of your retirement of Todd Gelson for the Board of Finance. Whereas Todd Gelson has dedicated 8 years of his distinguished service to the Board of Finance, and whereas Todd has served as its chairman since July 2024 and has been an advocate for sound financial planning and policies, and whereas he has given to himself tirelessly for improving the quality of life for our citizens, and whereas he is known and respected by the citizens of the town of East Haddam as a leader and a consummate volunteer, and whereas he is leaving his post to pursue other endeavors, now therefore be it resolved that the town of East Haddam expresses its deep appreciation to Todd Gelson for his service to our town and his pursuit of excellence in our behalf, and further that the town wishes him all the best in the future that brings his way. Signed this 10th day of November 2025 by Irina M. Haynes, First Selectman, and Kathy Klink, Town Clerk.
Thank you very much. Humble, truly humble.
Thank you for your service. There
Yes,
you go.
thank you.
All right.
And, well, that's because you folks too. You
That's
folks
the end of my
help.
report.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Suitable for framing. I know where to put it. Okay. Wow. It's pretty heavy. Okay, Finance Director's report. Unfortunately, Valerie's not here. She did leave us with copies of the monthly report summaries. If you folks had a chance to look at it, any comments, questions? If there are, we'll wait till after she recovers. And I have nothing to add. Takes a little while to look at it, but audit update. They're working on the audit and a little bit behind if I remember last, but nowhere near as bad as it was last year. So we're doing better in that department. Any questions, comments on the year-to-date financials or the audit report? Okay, audit update should say. If there being none, we'll move on to the next agenda item. And old business, any old business? I don't think we have any. Any new business? No new business?
The last meeting, we talked about the process of selecting a new chairman. Because you're assuming another office, and it was said that who is going to chair the election meeting? And it was said that the secretary would, except the secretary is also not going to be on the new board. What I said, because I think the Board of Ed does this, they had their secretary, paid secretary, chair that one portion of the meeting, that is, to ask for nominations for chair. And when I mentioned that, it didn't go over really, really well. But you're going to face that on the 19th. Who's going to run the meeting? How are you going to pick a chair?
Mr. Barney,
I won't be there.
I am not a parliamentarian by any stretch, but I would assume, since we did this when Ms. Watley resigned from the board entirely, that she stepped down as secretary and we elected as secretary.
And that was
It says the group will elect a temporary chair.
And I, for that one meeting, the
That's
group
what
can
it
do it.
says.
Very good.
Normal chair and
that was-
vice chair are absent, the group will elect a temporary chair to preside over the meeting until a new chair is elected.
Right, okay. I just want to get that, so we deal with it. That's all. So if the 6 members of the board can simply, that's fine. I mean, I didn't know you could ask Kathy Klink as town clerk to do it. Or we could ask Linda to do it.
Now and then to do it.
Just a minute, Bill. Oh,
Senior member, there you go.
you gonna say something?
I'm gonna either say that or say that you have time to figure it out between now and the 19th.
Right. Yeah, all I'm saying, I'm putting it out there. You gotta
Yes.
just come up with a
Thank
way.
you, Bill.
Okay. Thanks for bringing that up. Anything else under old business or new business? Okay. There being nothing else to discuss, if this,
Before we adjourn, I'd like the floor for a second.
sure.
Okay. I just wanted to thank outgoing member Bill Barney for his service and tough questions at times. And I'd like to share a few words about Todd as he steps down after 8 remarkable years on the Board of Finance, including 2 outstanding years as our chairman. Todd's leadership, commitment to fiscal responsibility, and dedication to transparent governance have greatly strengthened our community. His integrity and collaborative spirit have left a lasting impact, earning him our deep respect and gratitude. On behalf of the board, I want to thank Todd for his incredible service and wish him all the best as he steps into his new role as our first selectman. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Maureen. Very eloquent.
On behalf of
Truly
the
humble, but I appreciate it
luck.
very much.
And if I can, just real quick, thank you for tolerating me for the past few months. Hope I haven't done too much to tarnish the reputation of the board or my name. Thank you.
Peace out.
Once again, thank you, Bill. Wow. Okay, thank you, Maureen.
So moved. Oh, I was just moving to adjourn.
Good. Okay, move to adjourn.
Motion.
So move. 2 seconds. Eric, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, folks, it's been fun.
I don't want to say anything, but
Yeah, I know.
it's paper. They didn't wait long, did they? Yeah, I can take it home with me.
But it's good.
I didn't even notice until just now.
Well, they probably didn't make you a solid one because you hadn't been here long enough.
Thank you, Maureen.
It was a
Appreciate it.
pleasure.
Been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, Bill.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, she left.
Joe, thank you.
She wanted to
Oh,
go.
John. Eric, thank you.
Bill, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure, Bill.
Appreciate it.
So Bill, we're gonna see more of you, right?
We'll be
The
around.
library.
I'll at least show up at the 19th just to be a pain in the neck.
Keep us in Robert's meeting.